Welcome to Pseudocoder. My name is Ravina, and today we're going to talk about what are lists. So, lists are basically a storage. If you want to store multiple variables together, you can use list for that. And list is a very, very important data structure in Python. So, let's see how we can get started. Okay. So, here, firstly, how do you declare a list? First, you need to have a list name equal to sign and then square brackets. So for me here I have a list named fruits and then I have two square brackets here, and you can initialize the list with anything or you can have an empty list to start with. So here what I have is I have different fruits in my fruit list, and I have another list called additional fruits, and then I have two more fruits in it. Okay, so there are certain operations that you can perform on a list that you can really leverage when you write an algorithm. So if you know about all these commands, all these operations that you can do on the list, it becomes really easy to formulate a solution in your mind or to go through any algorithm and think that, oh, we can do this by using these operations on the list. Okay, so the first operation that we are going to study today is the append operation. So what append does is it takes the list that you already have and then add an element to the end of the list. That is what append means. So here if you see that I have an append operation, so you can write the list name dot append, that is the syntax, and then inside the parentheses you give the value that you want to append. So what I'm doing is I'm appending grape to my fruits list and then I'm printing it. So let's see how it looks. Okay, I ran the code and then this is my append operation. I appended grape to my fruits list and then I printed the fruits. So this is the output that I have, and then you'll see that there is grape at the end. Okay, initially my fruits list ended with banana, but now it has grape. Okay, uh, the next operation that we have with us is the extend operation. Now, what extend operation does is suppose if you have two lists and you want to append one list at the end of the other list. So at that point, you can use extend operation. So here I have a list called fruits and then I have additional fruits. So what I want to do is I want to add my additional fruits inside my fruit list. Okay. And so what I can do is I can write whichever is where I want to append the additional fruits. So I want to add them to my fruits list. So I will write my fruits dot insert, sorry, sorry, fruits dot extend. And what that extend is going to do, it's going to take in one parameter. It's going to take in a list. And I'm providing additional fruits. So what this operation will do is this extend is going to append the additional fruits to the fruit list. And if I print fruits, you will see that on the right hand side in extend, you'll see there are two fruits in the additional fruits, lychee and watermelon, and they get appended to the original fruit list. So since I printed the fruits, you'll see that this is the fruit list and it has lychee and watermelon added to it. Okay. Um, okay, moving on to the next operation. Next we have insert. So what insert does is insert takes in two parameters. One is the index. That in whatever you insert will be inserted before that index. Okay, and then the actual value that you want to insert. So in our case, what I did is in my fruits list, I want to add something before my 0. So that means the start of the list. And what do I want to add? I want to add mango. Okay, I perform this operation and then I print the fruits. If you look here, you will see that after insert, it should be before 0. That means it should be at the start of the list. And here we go. We can see mango on the start of the list. Okay, so that's the insert operation. Now, the next operation we have is the remove operation. So suppose if you want to remove a particular element from your list, what you can do is you can write the list name dot remove, and then in parentheses you can pass in the parameter the value which you want to remove. So for example here I'm removing pear from my list, from my fruit list. Okay, so if I do that and I print the list, you'll see that here mango, orange, apple, banana, kiwi, there's no pear in it. And if you look at the previous list, there was pear on the fourth position here. But here, pear has been removed. So that's what remove does. Okay. Another way to remove an element from a list is by using pop. But you can use an index in pop to remove an element. Okay, so suppose if you have multiple elements, suppose you have two apples in there and you want to remove apple at a particular index, then you can make use of pop. So here what I'm doing is I'm writing my list name, that is fruits dot pop, and then I'm providing it the index. So whatever is there on the first index is going to get removed. Remember that list has index starting from 0. So it will be 0, 1, 2, 3. So when you give one index, it's actually the second element that is going to get removed. So let's look at the pop example that we have. So yeah, one more thing. So what pop does is it removes the element, but it also returns the removed element. Whereas in dot remove, it just removes it. Okay. So when I do fruits dot pop and then give it an index, which is 1, you'll see that it returns something. What does it return? It returns the value it removed from the list. So here you'll see that when I print fruits dot pop of 1, it actually returns me orange. And what actually it's doing is it is removing this orange from the list and then returning it. So if I print fruits, it will print the fruit list which will not have orange. So it was at position at index 1, and so you see that now you have apple at index 1. So orange was removed. So that is a very useful scenario for pop, and you will see why it is so useful. That's going to come down the line. Okay. Next coming up, we have a count. You can actually count if you can give in suppose in the fruits list I have duplicate elements, right? If in our example I actually have apple two times, you'll see that I have apple here and then I have apple here. So if I want to count how many occurrences of apple do I have in my fruit list, what I can do is I can do fruits dot count and then I'll pass in apple since I want to count the number of apples that I have in my fruit list. So when I do that, you'll see that for count, it is going to return me 2 because there are 2 apples in my fruit list. Okay, so the next thing we have is sort. Sort is going to be really, really, really useful when you start doing algorithms. It's because when you want to, when you are looking at a problem and you want the list to be sorted in some way, what you can do really is just write list.sort. It's going to sort your whole thing and it's going to take complexity of n log n. So what I did is I did fruits.sort. Remember that it doesn't return anything, it just does it in place. And so when you print fruits, you'll see that for the sort, now these fruits are sorted in the ascending order. So the next thing that we have is reverse. So what's reverse going to do is it's going to take your list and then reverse it. Okay, so I have my fruits list, which is now actually sorted in ascending order. If I try and reverse it, what it's going to give is the last element is going to become the first element, the second last is going to become the second, the third last is going to become the third, and so on. And the first is going to become the last. Okay, so that's what reverse does. It actually reverses the whole list. The second last thing that we have here is copy. So if you want to make a copy of your list and store it as another list on which you want to perform some operations, or maybe you need two lists but in different order, then you can make use of dot copy. That is going to create a shallow copy of your list. So there's something called a pass by reference and pass by value. So when you copy a list, what it's going to do is it's going to create a duplicate of it, and it is not going to have that pass by reference kind of pointer pointing towards the other list. Whereas if you just assign one list to the other, it can happen that it's going to be parsed by reference. That means the same pointer is pointing to the two lists. If you make changes to the one, that is going to make changes to the next. So in order to avoid that, if you want two separate lists which are independent of each other, you can use a dot copy operation. So here what I'm doing is I'm creating a new list and I'm saying fruits dot copy. So it's going to create a new list. So let me go in and print that. So if you look at this copy, it will create a new list. The last operation that we have in list is clear. So if you do any list that you want to clear all the elements in it, what you can do is you can do list.clear. So you can do new list. This is the list that I want to clear, and then I just write dot clear. And then if I print that list, you'll see that after clear, all the elements have been deleted. Now you can use list. Uh, list actually has different applications. So my favorite two applications are using list as a stack and then using list as a queue. So sometimes you are solving algorithms and you don't really have time to import things, and you don't have time to keeping track of what to import and how to do it. So in that case, Python really comes handy because it has lists. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to learn is list as a stack. So we already learned the basic operations that you can perform on a list. Now let's see how we can use them in a stack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a stack with the name stack, and then it's going to be really a list. So this is an empty list. Now, as I do append, it's going to append values on one the other. So how does stack perform? Stack is actually, you can imagine it as a bucket, and then you add 1, you add 2 on top of it, you add 3, and then 4 on top of it. Okay. Now, what do we want to do when we use stack? So in stack, the first thing, it's actually first in, last out. That means the first element that goes in is the last element to come out. And since we imagine it as a bucket, it will be much easier to visualize. So now we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now, if we want to pop something out of it, what we can do is in stack, we want the most upper element that we inserted last, right? So in that case, what you can do is you can just do stack.pop. What's this gonna do is it's gonna pop the recent element that you inserted in the stack. So you're gonna do, if you do pop, it's it's gonna return you it's going to actually pop out the element, recent element, and actually going to return you that in latest element. And I'm actually doing pop again just to show you what it looks like. So let's look at on the right. You see that list as a stack. And then initially, this is my list. This is what I printed after appending all the values. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I pop one element, I print the stack, so it becomes 1, 2, 3. You see, fourth was the last element that I inserted and it was removed. And then I again do pop, it removes 3 because that is the last element that was the second last element that we, inserted, but that was on the top, so that was removed. So you can easily use list as stack. Okay. The second, my favorite thing is to use list as a queue. Uh, you will declare it in the similar way. You'll have queue equal to, just square brackets, and then I'm going to append things to my queue. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 to my queue. That's what you'll see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then so basically how queue operates. So when you are in a queue at, you are at a customer service center, and then you are there, if you stand in the queue first, you are going to be the first that is going to be attended, that is going to get attention, right? So it's first in, first out. So here what we have to do is, since we want to get when one since we want to pop out the first element that was entered, what we have to do is, instead of using just pop, we'll use pop 0. Since we are giving it the first index to pop, it's going to act as a queue. So here, what I'm doing is queue.pop of 0, and that is going to return me 1. So my actually my Q becomes then 2, 3, 4. And then if I pop again at 0, it becomes 3 and 4. I hope this explanation was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my videos, give it a thumbs up, comment on it, and please subscribe to my channel. And if you like, I will actually link this code in the description below so that you can, access it, you can play around with it and just, learn along with it. Okay. So thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.